When the 9-5 Oakland Raiders playing host to the 8-6 Denver Broncos. Mike Shanahan's Denver Broncos can win the West with victories in these last 2 weeks, but they can also be eliminated with a loss here today. Bill Callahan's Oakland Raiders can win the West with victories this week, and next they can clinch an AFC West Division title as well with a San Diego loss, although the Chargers are in the lead at Kansas City for the moment. Greg Gumbel, Phil Simms, Armin Katayan here at Network Associates Coliseum. The Broncos have won the toss and they have elected to receive. Happy holidays to you and yours from all of us. And as a little Christmas greeting, the wind blows the ball off the tee. Happy holidays, Mr. Simms.
Same to you, Mr. Gumbel. It is a little windy today. I've watched the kickers warming up. As Sebastian Janikowski was warming up, kicking off, it kept blowing off the tee, so that could be a factor in the game for people catching it and for players throwing it, the quarterbacks.
That's how breezy it is just outside the stadium.
It's better than the pouring rain they had here all week, though.
Coach Bill Callahan was telling us that he didn't quite remember it being so rainy as it has been this past week here in the Bay Area. Congratulations to the Tennessee Titans, the only AFC team to qualify so far. Janikowski's kick into the end zone, deep into the end zone. Ruben Drones will not bring it out. And that will bring Brian Griese and the Denver offense onto the field. The offensive line. Fifth-year tackle Ephraim Salaam in his first year with Denver. He's playing well. And there is Brian Griese. Salaam, Herndon, Hamilton, Neal, and Lepsis will try to keep the Raiders off his back. The rookie Clinton Portis having an outstanding season. McCaffrey and Rod Smith, the wide receivers. First down from the 20-yard line. Portis across the 25 to the 26-yard line. The Denver defensive unit up front, or the Oakland defensive unit. The Raiders hoping to put the clamps on Portis. And that means Sam Adams and John Perella clogging up the middle. The linebackers, Barton, Harris, former Bronco Bill Romanowski, who is pumped to play against his former mates. And the secondary, veteran Rod Woodson has returned 2 interceptions for touchdowns, one of them 98 yards against Denver last month. There's Chuck Bresnahan, the defensive coordinator, on 2nd and 4. Griese slips and goes down. Back at the 21-yard line.
I'm sure it's one of the guards that probably took a step backwards and got Brian Griese's foot. See who does it. At the center. Ben Hamilton gets his right foot caught into Brian Griese's, takes him down for a sack. The Oakland Raiders were hoping to come out today and stop that scripted first 15 plays by the Denver Broncos. They have been terrific scoring on their opening drives and in the first quarter.
Griese on 3rd and 9 from the shotgun. It is incomplete, intended for Shannon Sharpe, the tight end.
They got what they wanted. Shannon Sharpe singled up against Bill Romanowski, running across the field and wide open, and Brian Griese just misses him because it's the first pass of the game, one of the hardest for a quarterback.
Micah Noor is the Denver punter. He will kick it away to Tim Brown, who fumbled 2 punts last week in Miami and lost one of them. Noor's punt is a terrible punt as we welcome those of you who watched Washington defeat Houston 26-10. Greg Gumbel, Phil Simms, Armin Katayan in Oakland.
Well, Greg, short punt. It must be pretty windy on the field. We saw it with the kickoff from Janikowski and the punt that time. And the Raiders, they stopped the Denver Broncos. Those first plays, new plays that they didn't have a chance to prepare for. Good field positions. You can't ask for a better start than that.
Terrific field position for Gannon and the Raiders at the Denver 46. Short drop, plenty of time, and then throws over the middle, and it's grabbed at the 40-yard line by Jerry Porter. The Oakland offensive line, big and talented. That describes Pro Bowl right tackle Lincoln Kennedy to a T. And Tim Brown does the honors.
The last time we played the Broncos, Gannon completed 22 passes in a row, so I'm sure they're going to come out and try and stop him early in the game. So we have to get him off to a good start. If we can do that, it's a good chance we'll be able to roll and get this victory today.
Well, Rich Gannon is 1 for 1. And on 2nd and 4, from just inside the 40-yard line, he's going to throw again. With time, down the sideline, caught by Brown. Inside the 15-yard line, first down Oakland.
Well, when you give Rich Gannon time, what it does, it just allows receivers to get down the field and get to the open spaces. The Denver Broncos, they come with a different look, but look at the space Rich Gannon has. The offensive line does a terrific job, and he's able to throw a strike to Tim Brown down the sidelines.
27 yards on the pickup.
The Denver Broncos have done 2 different defensive fronts. They're trying to figure out different ways to pressure the quarterback. They did not do it on the first 2 pass plays.
On the 13-yard line, they give us to Tyrone Wheatley, trying to kick it outside, cuts back, and may have gained a yard at most before Trevor Price made the stop. Denver's defensive unit. Up front, the Broncos will look to their sack leader, Pro Bowl defensive end Trevor Price, to put pressure on Gannon. They have fast linebackers. In gold, Wilson and Mobley. Al Wilson's 171 tackles leads the way for Denver. And the secondary, Mike Shanahan says Tyrone Poole's been playing very well. He starts at cornerback. Deltha O'Neal will rotate in. No gain on the play makes it 2nd and 10. Gannon, short pop over the middle, crossing Jerry Rice to the 5 and bumped out of bounds, close to a first down. It appears he will have enough for a 1st and goal.
Well, you see this so much when you watch the Oakland Raiders play. It can be Jerry Rice in motion, coming across the field. It just makes it hard for a defense to follow all the players. They move and run across the formation. Jerry Rice wide open. Perfect pass by Rich Gannon.
10-yard pickup, 1st and goal, Oakland at the Denver 3. Play clock is running down, and now Oakland has to call a timeout. So Gannon comes to the near sideline to have a conversation. And, you know, we've talked all week long about the importance of this game. And either of these teams can pick up the AFC Championship with consecutive victories on the final 2 weekends of the season. Let's get an NFL Today update in New York. Here's Jim Nance.
All right, Greg and Phil, some saw it earlier. The Chiefs kept their drive alive. A challenge by Marty Schottenheimer on the spot, denied. It sets up Michael Husted, signed just this week. He connects from 38 yards. We have 40 seconds left, and San Diego is driving at midfield. Let's go back to you. We'll keep you posted.
All right, Jim, thank you. The line of scrimmage, the 3-yard line. The Denver Broncos, very stubborn in first quarters this season, have allowed just 2 first-quarter touchdowns all year long. Straight ahead, Zach Crockett to about the 1. 2nd and goal.
Well, you look at this Oakland Raiders offense, Greg. They do so many things, and we expect to see the Denver Broncos today come out and change up what they did in that first game a few weeks ago on Monday night. But as Rich Gannon says, it's hard to make a lot of changes when you play our offense because we do so many different things. We can adjust, and we can make you mess up just because of how many things we try.
Gannon gives to Crockett. Crockett tumbling at the goal line. Did he get in? Touchdown.
It looked like Zach Crockett actually fell over players on the ground and got in for the touchdown.
Crockett's 6th rushing touchdown of the season. Janikowski has been perfect on 43 point-after attempts this season. 44. 11:27 to play in the first quarter, and the Raiders have grabbed a 7-0 lead.
John Ritchie, the fullback, number 40. Does he get some? Yes, he makes just enough hole, and that's what happened, Greg. Zach Crockett falls on players who are on the ground, but his body never touches. He gets into the end zone.
Once again, let's get an NFL Today update from New York, and once again, Jim Nance. Jim.
All right, it is over, Greg and Phil. It is over in Kansas City as the Chargers were trying a desperation drive. Breeze completes the pass to Caldwell. However, he coughs up the football, and Kansas City wins it 24-22 right there in that Wild West division. Let's go back to you.
All right, Jim. The updated standings in the AFC West look like this. The Chargers and the Chiefs are both at 8 and 7. And as we said earlier, Denver and Oakland, either one of these teams wins their final 2 games, they win the AFC West.
Well, we saw and heard, I shouldn't say it, well, we saw it too, but we definitely heard the tension in both of the head coaches, the players. When we talked to them, they were so excited to play in a game that's so big during the regular season.
Moving drones deep for the kick. Janikowski puts this into the goal line. Drone to the 20. And out to about the 28 and 29-yard line. Let's check in for the first time today with Armin Katayan. Armin.
Thanks, Greg. Bill Callahan, this is exactly the kind of start he wanted. He said, we really want to set the tempo defensively in this game. 3 and out for the Raiders, and then to come back and score, he said, we want to disrupt the rhythm of the Broncos early on. And Phil, just a point that you had made about how important this game is, Bill Romanowski may have said it best. He said, this is one game I would pay to play in. Greg?
And Armin, he added, but they wouldn't have to pay me a cent. Straight ahead across the 30 to about the 32-yard line. Eric Barton with the stop.
Well, there's so many things to talk about in this game. And, you know, first off, just looking at this Denver offense, it's pretty simple. When you play the Oakland Raiders now, even more than earlier in the season, they're pretty simple. They don't try to trick you. All right, I'm listening to Gerald Alston talk about the play clock.
And he's still talking about it.
Yeah, he'll stop.
Well, he hasn't.
No, he
yet.
won't. Okay, here I go. But the Raiders are simple. They're just going to guard you man-to-man outside. They're going to cover your receivers one-on-one, and we're going to try to stop you to run. The passing game is simple. Can you beat our players?
Portis to the left side. And he's run out of bounds just across the 30-yard line by Napoleon Harris. Clinton Portis says his first reaction is to try to beat people around the side, but he also said, you know, I kind of feel like I'm an inside runner where you have some options.
Well, Greg, when you're really fast, your first option is, or your first thought is always, let me just try to outrun him, and that is Clinton Portis, and he has been quite a surprise, or not a surprise, but doing so much better than a lot of people expected. A second-round draft pick, good inside and outside runner.
Greasy, far side, and that's complete to Portis, and Portis to about the 35-yard line. Welcome those of you who watched San Diego fall to Kansas City, 24-22. Oakland Raiders have scored first here. They lead the Denver Broncos by a score of 7-0, and the Oakland Raiders, with a victory here today, can claim the AFC West title.
This is a new formation that the Denver Broncos are showing the Raiders, and they have not adjusted very well to it the first 2 times.
Greasy's pass is complete from McCaffrey, and McCaffrey reaching for a first down, and he's close.
So Ed McCaffrey took advantage of the fact that he's 6'5", and he knew he was short and turned and reached out to get that extra half yard.
So we will get a measurement as they bring the chains in from the far side of the field.
And You can see it's close because Greg or I, neither one of them we're not going to guess.
No.
And he gets it.
First down.
That's a big first down for the Denver Broncos, just to get the momentum going on their side. Watch Ed McCaffrey as he catches it. He's about a yard short. He looked to the sideline, knew it, and reached out and got the first down.
Saw Sam Adams limp off of the field gingerly. First down, Denver. Quick pass, tip, and it falls incomplete.
Well, it's John Perella, inside defensive lineman, who gets in Brian Greasy's face and causes the ball to go up in the air. Could have been big trouble for the Broncos, but they get away with it. Oh, he gets his hand on it. But we talked to Mike Shanahan last night, and I asked him, I said, why do you think this Oakland Raiders defense is playing so much better? And the first thought that came out of his mouth was, he just goes, you know, they really are just playing a lot harder than they had in the past, and it shows in the results on the field.
2nd and 10. The give is to Orlando's Gary, and Gary is going nowhere. Stopped short of the 40-yard line by Trace Armstrong and Eric Barton.
And this Raider team, I said it last week, we did the game down in Miami, they're big and they're physical, and they can overpower you at times, so you have to be careful as an offense. And the fact that they simplify things is just freed up the players. They don't have to think as much. They just go after whoever has the football, and they're letting their size and their ability take over.
Gary is in the backfield on 3rd and 10. Greasy from the shotgun. Tipped at the line of scrimmage, intercepted by Trace Armstrong. A sack and now an interception for number 93, Trace Armstrong. And we're still in the Brian Greasy huddling with Gary Kubiak. Has had absolutely no time so far today.
Well, the Raiders come on the blitz. It's Derek Gibson, number 36, that knocks it up in the air. Brian Greasy has been under pressure. People all around him. Tip balls usually come from defensive players getting too much penetration towards the passer.
Porter comes in motion. The gives to Tyrone Wheatley. Near side, cuts it back and to the 30-yard line. Huge gain on the play. Gold and Kennedy with the stop. Once again, Jim Nantz in New York.
All right, thank you, Greg. Baltimore and Cleveland trying to stay alive. Really an elimination game going on at Baltimore. Cleveland strikes first. Jamel White from 3 yards out. 7-0 Cleveland here. Let's go back to you, Greg and Phil.
All right, Jim, 8 minutes now to play here in the first quarter. Raiders, for the second time today, starting a drive in Denver territory.
Well, Greg, we talked about Denver's defense, trying to come up with some different ways to get to Rich Gannon. 3 down linemen this time, 3 linebackers, and they really want to try to get some pressure from the outside.
Wheatley, big hole up the middle, inside the 20 to the 16-yard line.
And what they did, the Raiders gave them a formation. Denver adjusts to it. They got some smaller players in there, and watch the hole that is created for the Oakland Raiders. Tyrone Wheatley, nobody around him.
Tackled by Izell Reese and Ian Gold, get a 14 yards.
14-yard pickup. Rice to the near side of the field, and Denver wants a timeout right here. Clock stopped, 7:05 to play in the first. Oakland leading and driving.
By Center, makers of the View redesigned L Series and the all-new Ion.
Just part of the scenery here at Network Associates Coliseum. The Raider faithful on hand to cheer their team. They're leading 7-0, and they've reached the Denver 17-yard line. Wheatley. And Wheatley, grabbed by Trevor Price, shakes away and makes it to the 20-yard line.
Well, you look at Trevor Price. Mike Shanahan and Trevor Price exchanged a few words a couple weeks ago, and that little feud is over. And Mike Shanahan said last week against Kansas City, Trevor Price played his best game of the year. Just hustle to no end.
When you say exchanged a few words, not to each other, through the media.
Through the media, and it got a little out of hand probably, but it served a purpose for both. It's made Trevor Price really concentrate on what he's doing, and he played very well last week and off to a good start this week.
Loss of 3 on that play, 2nd and 13.
And they moved Trevor Price inside to allow him to rush the passer.
Charlie Garner. Garner to the 15, to the 13, close to the 12-yard line.
Well, this is one of those little screens they throw to the outside to Charlie Garner, and it rained so much here during the week that Bill Callahan actually put in 2 different game plans. And in case the weather was really bad, this was going to be a way to get to the outside, to throw the ball, to get the outside runs, and let his skilled players have a chance. But as you can see today, the weather was beautiful.
3rd and 5. Gannon. Complete to the 5-yard line. Inside the 5, Charlie Garner has the first down.
Well, that's a good job by Rich Gannon and Charlie Garner. But I can tell by just watching this Denver defense, they're trying to be more aggressive. They're getting after the quarterback. They're trying to play man coverage down the field. But it's hard to cover so many good weapons if you don't make the quarterback hurry up his decisions.
Gannon 5 out of 5 to 4 different receivers today. 1st and goal. Crockett in the lineup behind Gannon. Gets the handoff. And gets a couple. Al Wilson, the middle linebacker, with the stop.
Well, when you see Zach Crockett come in, we did the game in Miami last week, and Zach Thomas, the middle linebacker for the Miami Dolphins, says when he comes in, they might be one of the best short yardage running teams he's ever faced. But you can see the Denver Broncos, they play him twice a year. They're ready for it, and they have stopped him cold so far today, running on those, trying to get those short gains inside.
I think back to what Trevor Price told us about that big offensive line. He called them monsters.
Oh, he did. He gave them a lot of credit. It's tough to get past this Raiders offensive line.
Gannon has it batted in the air, incomplete at the line of scrimmage. Lionel Dalton appeared to get a hand up.
You know, good job. I don't know why more teams don't do this against the Raiders. They take short drops. It's hard to get to Rich Gannon, and Lionel Dalton anticipates the throw and knocks it down. Watch 94 in the middle of your screen. Good job of pushing the offensive lineman back towards Rich Gannon, and then enabled him to knock the football down.
3rd and goal. Garner and Ritchie in the backfield. Gannon shakes, runs to the 5, to the 3, touchdown. One other thing, Trevor Price told us last night, he says, Rich Gannon has shrugged away from me so many times the last few years, I can't remember.
I think even Rich Gannon's surprised he gets in the end zone. Trevor Price makes him leave the pocket. They get in there, look at the Denver Broncos chasing him. It looks like he's going to go down. He finds a little seam. Terrific run by Rich Gannon.
Gannon's 3rd rushing touchdown of the season. Janikowski's extra point is good. And with 4:14 to play in the 1st, the Raiders have jumped on top by 2 touchdowns. The numbers on the Oakland scoring drive. Denver this year has allowed 34 first-quarter points, and 24 of them have been scored by the Oakland Raiders. Brian Greasy, whose pass was batted in the air. Trace Armstrong's first career interception set up that touchdown. This is Drones on the run inside the 5 to the 25 and out close to the 30-yard line before he is brought down. Brian Greasy will now try to get things back on track for the Denver Broncos right after this.
Sponsored by Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. And by T-Mobile. Get more minutes, more features, more service.
Welcome back to Oakland, everyone. Along with Phil Simms, I'm Greg Gumbel. Oakland up by 2 touchdowns at home. Game over?
Oh, no, I don't think it is, Greg. Believe it or not, I'm not crazy here, but I like what the Denver Broncos are doing on defense. Even though they've given up 2 touchdowns, they're being more aggressive. They look like they got a few answers, What they need is their offense to move the football and get some better field position.
And Brian Greasy was unfortunate with the deflected pass at the line of scrimmage, intercepted by Trace Armstrong, and they go with the ground game across the 30 to the 32-yard line. And there's no question that this is the part of the Denver game that the Oakland Raiders want to stop. Bill Romanowski said, we want to stop the ground game and make Brian Greasy throw to beat us.
Well, yeah, and of course every team says that every week, but here's why they mean it and why it's such a good point. If they can just keep the Denver Broncos in some obvious passing situations, the Broncos are just not strong enough with their offensive line to stop the big charging defensive line of the Oakland Raiders. So that's what happened to them on a Monday night a few weeks ago. They want to try to avoid it, the Denver Bronco offense today.
Greasy misfires Shannon Sharp, who is trying to lodge a complaint with the officials, and nothing forthcoming. It'll be 3rd and 7.
Well, Shannon Sharp, he's back. That always helps an offense because he knows how to get open. He does a good job of finding those spaces. When they played a few weeks ago on Monday night, he did hurt his arm and has been out for a while. He says he got held, and he did. Eric Barton, number 50, grabbed the jersey.
Those are two good handfuls of jersey, too. 3rd and 7. And Greasy to McCaffrey across the middle, comes up short of a first down as Terrence Shaw makes the stop. And so far, the Broncos have been unable to get anything going with any consistency.
Well, so much has been made, Greg, of the Oakland Raiders. They've got a lot of people hurt in their secondary, but I thought all the reserves last week against the Miami Dolphins played pretty well, and they're off to a very good start here against the Broncos.
Nor's first effort wasn't very good. Just a 25-yarder. Tim Brown is deep. Big rush. Nor got it away. This is much better. Fair catch called for, and Brown makes the catch, and he was hit, but he didn't go down, and there's no penalty marker. Well, Brown wants a flag, and you can't blame him. He calls for a fair catch. Willie Middlebrooks hits him. Brown still hasn't gone down.
He didn't mean it.
Fair share of lobbying with the officials, who have not seen it his way.
Watch the fair catch signal by Tim Brown. Here he comes over. Oh, that one there is a good look at it. He did get his hand over his helmet.
Quick shot again to Garner around the left side and run out of bounds at about the 23-yard line.
All that was, and it is. That is a running play. That was a lateral by Rich Gannon, and it takes a little skill. This is not as easy as it looks. Flipping it to the outside. Watch 84, Jerry Porter. He's the lead blocker. Terrific job. Denard Walker actually goes down to the ground to protect himself.
You know, you're saying it's not as easy as it looks, but they're making it look pretty easy.
Yeah, they are. They're off to a good start. Field position has helped them in the first 2 drives. This time, they're going to have to go the hard way.
2nd and 4. Quick screen. Garner. 25. 30. Out of bounds at about the 33-yard line. It'll be a Raider first down. Their first 2 possessions, the Raiders, started in Denver territory. Both resulted in touchdowns.
Now, they are getting penetration and pressure on Rich Gannon. Much better than they did in the Monday night game. But now the Raiders are adjusting. They're letting them come through. The quick passes to the outside, a screen play. All those types of plays will make a defense slow down and a defensive pass rush start looking for the little adjustments.
On first down, Garner changes direction out to about the 39. Last week in Miami, when we talked to Charlie Garner, you know, we were curious about his feelings about a running back in this pass-oriented Oakland offense, and he said, I'm a running back. I like to run the ball. But he also realizes he gets more than his average share of touches on the receiving end. He has 4 catches for 32 yards already today.
Yeah, Greg, we told him that too. Well, you're catching passes. He goes, that's good, but I'm a running back. But I said, but Charlie, he goes, yeah, but I'm a running back. So I get it. He wants the ball in his hands to run as a running back. Tyrone Wheatley.
And Wheatley to about the 40.
But just about a little more about Charlie Garner, even though he's not in there. The way the Raiders are using him, he's such a good player. This guy really is. All the opposing teams talk about him. They say wonderful things. But the way the Raiders are using him, they're going to stretch his career out an extra couple years. And in about 2 or 3 years, he's going to be glad that he's not running the football 25 times a game up the middle against some of these defenses.
3rd and 4. Rice in motion, going across the field. Gannon looks both ways and incomplete, in and out of the hands of Wheatley.
Well, that was another good job, Greg. Pressuring the quarterback, tighter coverage down the field, took away Rich Gannon's first option. And what did Mike Shanahan say? He said to his defensive backs this week, do not be afraid of the names on the jersey of those Raider receivers. You know, he's talking about, of course, Jerry Rice and Tim Brown.
Shane Leckler, not a good kick at all. Wobbly short, but it takes a Raider bounce and rolls out of bounds at right around the Denver 30-yard line. We remind you, you can log on to NFL.com, read why Phil Simms says parity might bring hope to many teams, but it adds to the heartache after Week 17. Read the complete story at NFL.com or on America Online. Enter keyword NFL.com. I can't wait.
Yes. I talk about you in there. You should go on and read what I said about you.
I'm sure you do.
Things that I can't say on the air, I say in my column every week.
Wonders of the internet. 9 seconds to play in the first quarter.
Here's the different look. Clinton Porter split out, 3 receivers to the right.
Little jump on the line. Whistle blows. That pass will not count.
Penalty flag on the field. No play.
A Raider jumped across and made contact. That was Reagan Upshaw. Let's see if he was drawn off.
Encroachment, 91 defense, 5 yards, still first down.
So our first penalty of the day goes against the Raiders, who have registered their fair share this season. First and 5. Greasy, quick pass, intercepted. Rod Woodson. Woodson inside the 30 to about the 25-yard line. And Woodson, who picked off Greasy in their first meeting and went 98 yards for a touchdown, turns this one around.
Well, it's a blitz by the Raiders. The formations are not messing them up. Here comes the blitz. Brian Greasy is looking for the adjustment by Ed McCaffrey. I don't know if McCaffrey doesn't make the adjustment or Brian Greasy misreads it, but Woodson again inside, taking advantage of the blitz and watching the quarterback.
And back on the 11th of November in Denver, this is what Woodson did to Greasy, picking it off at the 2 and going 98 yards for a touchdown. Both sides said that one turned the game and the seasons around for each of these teams.
Yes, and the Raiders talked about it. Their season, that was make or break for them. That Monday night game, they won it, and that play was the biggest play, I thought, too, in the outcome.
From the 25-yard line. Gannon, quick pitch, bounces off the hands of Tim Brown, and it's out of bounds, and that one is considered incomplete as time runs down here in the first quarter. It has been a busy first quarter. It has been all Oakland at the end of the first quarter. 14-0 Raiders. We'll come back to Network Associates Coliseum right after this. You're watching the NFL on CBS. By a second interception in his last 4 passing attempts. Gannon looking, throws, near sideline. That is complete to number 81, Tim Brown. Let's go back to the interception.
Well, it's just a clever blitz by the Oakland Raiders. Brian Greasy again under pressure. They brought a lot of blitzers. They played zone behind it, and Woodson just read the quarterback. And Ed McCaffrey's going up and talking to him. It's, you know, those are, for me, it's hard to decide who made the mistake, but whatever, it results in an interception.
From the 13, Wheatley, close to the 10-yard line. And, you know, understandably, all of the conversation, especially in Denver, has been surrounding Brian Griese. All of the media, the fans, and even Brian Griese says, yeah, I recognize this is a defining moment in my career.
You know, Greg, I thought it was too much, and I said Brian Griese will play well if his team allows him to play well. Well, so far it's been rough, but you're right. He came in last night. Yeah, this is the biggest game I've played in since I've been a Denver Bronco, and the biggest game I've played in since I played for the national championship at the University of Michigan.
Gannon. Nice protection, and now he's on the run to the 10. And cut down at about the 8-yard line by Jimmy Spencer coming up from the secondary.
Well, you know, we talked to Denver Bronco defensive players. Trevor Price, we talked to him last night. He goes, Rich Gannon can move around. He doesn't run down the field even close to what he used to do, but when he has to, if that's all there is, he will gain some yards running the football.
How about that protection for Gannon from the Monsters?
Well, you call them the Monsters because we get a chance to walk by these guys in person, and it is really intimidating to see the size of Lincoln Kennedy, Mo Collins, Barrett Robbins.
Gannon calls timeout before the play clock winds down on him. So 12:55 to play in the first half. The Raiders leading by 14 and threatening to get more. It's on all of the playoff scenarios. Just click on the playoff race at CBSSportsline.com or on America Online. Enter keyword CBS Sportsline. Inside the 10-yard line, Garner alone back. Gannon looks left, throws to the corner of the end zone. Touchdown, Charlie Garner.
Did you hear Rich Gannon going open? And I think he was saying razor because the Denver Broncos are on the blitz. He gets Charlie Garner wide into formation. Watch him go outside. It's an out, and then he breaks it up. What a job by Charlie Garner and a terrific throw by Rich Gannon. Rich Gannon bought extra time by retreating and waiting for Charlie Garner to make that move.
Broncos have not made the Raiders travel very far. Their 3 touchdown drives have covered just 109 yards, 21-0. Oakland.
To really change your life? Yes, Intel.
12:49 to play in the first half. Janikowski's kick is low and rolls inside the 20 and is covered there by Olandis Gary, and Gary up the sideline to about the 30-yard line. And let's go back to the touchdown pass. Phil was talking about Rich Gannon. Let's listen. Phil, what does razor, open translate to?
It means a touchdown. That's what it means. But hey, look, there's so many things I want to say about that play. First off, the blitz, Rich Gannon saw it. He changed the play. They had an out and up by Charlie Garner. That is terrific design and execution by the Raiders offense.
Griese throws, McCaffrey catches at about the 45-yard line, and that's a Denver first down.
But I want to go back, Greg, but also that play defined. Rich Gannon was cool, everything that he is about. All the work, you hear about it all the time. He's the first there, the last to stay, all that stuff. It's true, it's real, and it all comes out in the football field. Being an ex-player, I see it all the time, and right there, every quarterback in this league would have got 3 out of it. Rich Gannon got 7.
On first down, not much there. Across the 45-yard line is Clinton Portis, and let's check in with Armin.
Phil, just to follow up on what you said, you know, Rich Gannon, the odds-on favorite in many people's eyes to be the MVP in the league. Many people say he's just simply obsessed with being the best. Bill Callahan telling us how precise Rich is in everything he does, how he wants to stretch the system. And Bill Romanowski, who has a certain way with words, says he knows his assignments inside and out, but he also knows everyone else's assignments better than they do. Greg?
Armin, thank you. 2nd and 8. Griese throws far side, and that's complete across midfield to Shannon Sharp. and he is about 2 yards shy of a first down.
Yeah, good throw by Brian Greasy. Just one last thought to follow up what Armin said. And Bill Romanowski also, he put it really well when talking about Rich Gannon, getting the chance to see him up close, and he just says, hey, it comes down to this. There's no doubt in my mind he's just going to outwork everybody in the league. And that's it. He's going to outwork you, and that's going to give him the edge that he wants on Sunday afternoons.
Denver is in Oakland territory for the first time today, looking at a 3rd and 1. Portis doesn't appear to have gotten it.
Yeah, not a clean exchange between Brian Greasy and Clinton Portis, and not even going to talk about it. Mike Shanahan's going to go for this. It looks a little short.
That is going to be about a yard short of a first down.
Watch Bill Romanowski lined up against the tight end. Dwayne Carswell. Inside. Oh, nice little pushing match going on.
4th and 1. First down and more. Close to the 40-yard line is Portis, the rookie out of Miami and Denver's 2nd-round draft pick.
Man, did he get up to the hole that time, just powers his way in. The Denver Broncos, it's not an accident anymore. They know what they're doing when they draft and when they teach these running backs. Everybody that steps into that role does well.
Not bad for a young man who wasn't even a running back until his senior year in high school. Portis and Drones in the backfield and Greasy to throw. That ball incomplete and close to being intercepted.
You know, I think this Denver Broncos offense, Drones is staying down. I just think they need to stay with the running game. Keep the pace and the momentum on your side.
Drones is still on the turf, just inside the 40-yard line. Clock is stopped with 9:35 to play in the first half. We'll check on Reuben Drones and come right back. Boomer have scores and highlights on the Nextel halftime report. And what'd you think about Mr. Sanders' revelation on the NFL today?
Well, let's see. Saturday, I hear Beer Parcells talking about coming back. I fell out of my chair. Then I watched the CBS pregame show, and then I'm like, wow, what next? But interesting. Can't wait for the decision.
Greasy complete to the 35-yard line. Shannon Sharp is hit hard there. Napoleon Harris and Terrence Shaw, and Sharp is down.
Greg, I'm sorry he's dead, but you were right. Just the collision. He catches it in between Napoleon Harris and just gets hit hard from both sides before he goes down.
You can see Shannon Sharp's head snap back on that hit. And he is down at the 37-yard line, and the clock is stopped with 9:19.
You know, that was a good illustration of what Mike Shanahan said. He goes, this Raider defense, they just play harder. They're playing harder now than ever before. And he said, in all the years I've been coaching against them, he thought this was the best team that they've had.
You mentioned Bill Parcells, possibility of him coming back. We talked about Dion. And I thought it was suspicious when I found you throwing in the lobby this morning.
Yeah, right.
Shannon Sharp walks off the field a little slowly. Dwayne Carswell has replaced him.
I like it right next to you, my man, where it's soft, warm.
Always warm.
And we will not get hit. It's good.
3rd and 4. Greasy. Over the middle. Incomplete. In and out of the hands of Portis, the rookie. And we're not going to get a field goal attempt. Brian Greasy staying on the field.
Brian Greasy afforded protection just a little off target. And when you're throwing the running backs, they don't catch a lot of passes running those routes down the field. So you have to be very precise.
So Mike Shanahan will forsake what would be about a 53-yard field goal attempt. It's 4th and 4. Outside, incomplete, intended for Ashley Lillane. Charles Woodson was over there covering. The ball goes over on downs. The Denver Broncos come up shy. It's still 21-0 Raiders. We welcome you back to Oakland. Greasy.
Well, Brian Greasy's going to look at that book, but I think he knows what's going on. He's been under pressure, and when you're under pressure as a quarterback, it's hard, but you just got to relax, not take chances.
That's Tyrone Wheatley. What kind of a day has Greasy had? It started out tough. Center, his own center, stepped on him. He took a tumble. That pass batted in the air.
Yep, penetration.
The next time it was batted, Trace Armstrong picked it off, and then Rod Woodson intercepted that one.
So you got pressure on the quarterback, penetration by the defensive line. That makes him uneasy, and it's made him off target with a couple throws.
Wheatley again. And Wheatley to the 42. Clock continues to move, coming up on 8:15 to play in the first half.
You know, I kind of like this new Raider outlook today. They're running the football a little more than we've seen in the past, that's for sure.
You know, that in itself would be a little bit disconcerting to a defensive coordinator who's prepared all week to stop Brown and Rice and Porter and Jolly.
Well, I guess too, Greg, when you're up 21-0 midway in the second quarter, it might change your thoughts too on what you're going to do on the offensive side.
3rd and 3. For the first down to Tim Brown. It's so strange how things happen from one week to another. We talked about what an unusual day it was for Tim Brown last week against the Miami Dolphins. He dropped a potential touchdown pass at the goal line. He wasn't very involved in the offense, and a complete turnaround here today against the Broncos.
Well, you know, it's like a good quarterback. It's almost impossible to keep a wide receiver who has a bad game.
66.
You know, I wouldn't want to be the guy covering him the following week, because there's a reason why he's been in the league so long and so productive. He has pride and good ability.
Gannon throws this side. Tim Brown again, and Brown to the 45-yard line. That is Rich Gannon's 404th completion of the season, and that ties him with Warren Moon for the NFL single season high. Warren stopped by the booth.
Saw him today, looks good. He's doing the game on radio today, but again, I said this earlier, they are playing more aggressive on defense, but unless you pressure the quarterback, you're not going to get the reward of what the defensive backs are doing. Listen to all the talking going on by the Raiders.
Gannon looking for the record, running out of time, and he goes down back at the 48 or 49-yard line and gets up pretty upset.
Well, he's upset because I think he wanted a receiver to make an adjustment. Nobody did, but this is what the Denver Broncos are trying to do. Trevor Price, 93, gets down inside, and he wants to get against the guard, but look what happens. He still has to go against Lincoln Kennedy. Nobody open. He keeps hustling and keeps working and gets the sack.
Trevor Price told us that Lincoln Kennedy is very frustrating because he makes everything look so easy.
Yeah, he goes, he blocks me, and I never see like snot come out of his nose when he blocks me. It's just not right how easy it makes it look.
3rd and 9. Gannon sets up, throws over the middle, incomplete, off the hands of Jerry Rice down the middle.
I think that's the first time I've ever talked about something coming out of somebody's nose, so I just had to throw it in there. But it was.
I'm honored.
Yeah, I know you. I'm sure you're honored. But think about what Denver's trying to do. Good strategy. Take your best pass rusher, Trevor Price, get him off with one of the best pass blocking tackles in the league, and put him on somebody else. And it's worked pretty well so far for Trevor Price in Denver.
Delpha O'Neal. Oh, what a kick by Leckler. Leckler floats it into the end zone. And so the Broncos will start at their own 20-yard line after a 51-yard punt.
Well, Brian Greasy, you know, Mike Shanahan, he asked us, he goes, how was Brian Greasy when you talked to him yesterday? And I said, well, he was happy, really looking forward to it. And he goes, yeah, I liked his body language during the week. He was a little edgy. I know it. He said, I think he's embracing the bigness of the game. So They need to get him in rhythm and get him confident.
That one complete to Sharp, and Sharp out to about the 28-yard line. You know, when you said that, it reminds me, if Mike Shanahan says, well, how was Brian Griese? And it occurs to me, Brian was a lot more calm than the coach was.
That's right. Mike was really, I'll tell you what, yeah, edgy's not the word, excited. You know, you could see it. He was, I said, boy, Mike, you'd like to, you're pretty pumped up for the game. And he just laughed, and he knows what it means to his football team. It is their season.
Clinton Portis gets the first down across the 30-yard line, and so the Broncos, with a pass and a run, have a first down and trying to get something moving here as we're under 5 minutes to play for the first half.
And, you know, and I think the reason why the Broncos came into this game with confidence, they thought they had some answers. They've lost so many tough, close games this year that they thought they were ready for a big battle against a good football team.
Griese goes down. Bill Romanowski.
Bill Romanowski just timed the snap of the football perfectly and beat Steve Herndon, who was trying to get out the blocking. Watch the right guard pull out, or the left guard, I should say, and Romanowski beats him to the point of attack and gets the big hit on Brian Griese.
The second Oakland sack of the day has Griese still down, a loss of 7.
Well, you talked about Bill Romanowski, how excited he was to play. He goes, when I was watching film this week of the Denver Broncos, my hands would start to sweat. I was so keyed up, so nervous, and so excited to play in the big game, and of course, against his old teammates.
And you know, how big of a prophet is he when he says, we think we know Brian Griese, we think he'll throw you 1 or 2 interceptions a game.
Well, yeah, if you pressure him, and that's, you could say that about every quarterback, though. You pressure a quarterback, you limit his time to make a decision down the field, I promise you, he's not going to be as accurate or as smart.
Steve Berline has come on. 39 of 65 throwing on the season for 488 yards, 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. His first throw of the day. He won't get it off. Number 56, Travion Smith. Change of quarterbacks, no change in the approach of the Raider defense.
Greg, we talked about it early. Really known pass situations, some offensive lines can still hold up. The Raiders wanted this to happen because they think they can overpower the smaller Denver Broncos team.
Boy, Olanda's Gary was the one trying to block Travion Smith and just never had a chance. 3rd and 22. Down again. Trace Armstrong. Three straight quarterback dropbacks and 3 straight sacks by the Oakland Raiders.
Again, just beating everybody to the quarterback.
Nor's kick from inside his 5-yard line. Tim Brown with the fair catch made at the 45 of the Raiders. Well, you can see for yourself why CBS Monday is America's best night of television. It starts with The King of Queens, followed by Yes Dear, Everybody Loves Raymond, and the #1 new comedy of the season, Still Standing. And then don't miss TV's #1 new show, CSI Miami, and The Late Show with David Letterman after your local news. That's all Monday here on CBS, America's most watched network. Armin Katayan, what you got?
Greg, here's a quick update on Brian Griese. It's his left knee, the same knee that he injured in a game against Seattle in mid-November, was out 2 weeks. They're looking at it. It's got a brace on it, but his return now is said to be questionable. Back to you.
All right, Armin. Gannon and the Raiders with 3:03 to work with here in the first half. To Garner. midfield and is hit at midfield by John Mobley. And with that completion, Rich Gannon now holds the single season mark for completions.
Well, it's funny. The Raiders took out their tight end, and they brought in a rookie tackle, Langston Walker, who's about 6'6" and 350 pounds. So you're on defense, you go, well, he's in here. They got to run the football. They change up. They throw a quick pass to the left side and get a few yards.
Garner. You know, we were talking with Bill Romanowski about Charlie Garner, and he said, I remember when Charlie was at San Francisco and I was at Denver, he made me miss twice on the same run.
That's right. He goes, he comes up in the line of scrimmage. I got him one-on-one. I do not lay a hand on him. I fall on the ground. He makes other people miss. I get up, run down the field. I'm going to get him from behind, and I miss him again. So tells you about Romanowski was hustling, but Charlie Garner is a very underrated player in the National Football League.
3rd and 5. Gannon on the move. And runs out of bounds. No, still inbounds, and now out of bounds, close to a first down. He's ruled out of bounds before he crossed midfield, though. And we have let's see. He's out of bounds just shy of midfield.
Oh, just got his right foot on. Otherwise, it would have been a first down.
Oakland, the Raiders are in charge. We'll be back. Not all of it's decisive. Some decisions still have to be made next week.
Yeah, explain it to me, would you?
I think I'll let Jim and the guys in the studio do it. Leckler. Nice floater. Bounce. And it's going to be down inside the 5-yard line. Alvis Whitted downs it after a 49-yard punt. Meanwhile, that Raider defense has been all over the Denver quarterbacks.
Yeah, they have. What they're doing, they're getting most of the pressure from the right side. That time it was against the running back, Trace Armstrong, right side of the Denver offensive line, and they are taking advantage right now, pushing, you know, Dan Neal and Matt Leptis around and get the pressure on the quarterback.
Berline is still the quarterback. You look at the numbers. From the 2-yard line, Denver has 2 timeouts remaining.
Yeah, but the big thing is the Raiders have 1 timeout, so the Broncos just want to get out of this first half without giving the football back.
Spreading the field. Berline got rid of it. Incomplete.
Well, Reagan Upshaw comes unblocked when you have nobody in the backfield. The fact that they got a linebacker, Eric Barton, inside, they outnumber the Denver Bronco blockers, and it's a really good job by Steve Berline just getting rid of the football.
Pretty telling that Rod Smith has no catches so far today for the Denver Broncos.
Boy, Chuck Bresnahan of the Oakland Raiders, the defensive coordinator, is staying 1 step ahead of the play calling by the Denver Broncos.
Berline, deep drop throws, and that's caught by Smith out across the 15 to the 17-yard line.
I want you to watch Steve Berline drop back. First, it looks like he almost trips. And watch how many players fall as he gets rid of the football. Everybody going down into the goalpost. But a good job, good anticipation by Steve Berline getting the throw off.
Berline, this time over the middle. Rod Smith, penalty markers fly. He's out close to midfield, but let's check the flag. That's a 31-yard pickup. Gerald Austin says.
Pass interference, number 8 of the offense. Half a distance to the goal. Repeat first down.
You know, when I see a flag thrown in the secondary, I just assume always that it's defensive pass interference. So Rod Smith really must have got a terrific push-off to have the flag thrown his way.
So it will back the Broncos up to their own 9-yard line.
Couple really good throws by Steve Berline.
First Denver penalty of the day. Berline going to go deep and has his man open. Lee, did he catch it? Officials look to each other on the far side, and it's ruled a completion.
If Steve Berline would have hit him in stride, it was going to be a touchdown by Ashley Lee. But still, what a catch. A high throw, reaches up, gets it. Let's watch it. He gets control. His left knee, right knee is inbounds.
And Gerald Austin is going to trot over.
Well, there was no doubt they were going to replay this. Inside 2 minutes, you know, it's the officials up in the booth that are going to make this call.
So this will either be a 2nd and 18 from the 9-yard line or a first down out at the 36.
Well, what a nice catch by Ashley Lee. All right, Greg, I'll give you first shot. I've already formed an opinion.
That.
I think it's going to stay. The play will stay. It looked like his knee came to the ground just a fraction before his body fell out of bounds.
Well, there's no question the right leg came down inbounds. And it's the right knee that landed out of bounds after the toe touched inbounds. Did I make that clear enough?
Yeah,
Not
right.
in the least. Well, it has already been a long afternoon on the far sideline for Mike Shanahan.
Well, yeah, if they get this play, if it's not overruled, they still have 1 minute and 4 seconds to go and 2 timeouts. Let's look at it one more time. There's no question. I think he secures the football.
There's the right leg down.
The right leg, did it get down before his whole body fell out of bounds? And I say,
I see it.
Yes.
St. Louis Rams 3. And at the half of the Baltimore Ravens 10, Cleveland 7.
Well, Gerald Austin has made his decision.
After reviewing the play, the receiver gains control of the ball. The first thing to touch is his right knee inbounds, then his elbow hits out of bounds. Therefore, that's a catch. First down.
You are on a roll today.
No, I was going to say you described it perfectly, whatever you said. But still, don't forget 2 timeouts for the Denver Broncos. A good opportunity to get some points and try to get back in the game and gain some confidence.
Berline over the middle has Shannon Sharp, and Sharp to midfield. That's another Denver first down. Anthony Dorsett with the tackle. Clock continues to move. We're under 55 seconds.
And, you know, a lot of people at home are going, well, are the Raiders changing defense? The first couple plays they didn't. The last few they've been playing softer and off the wide receivers.
That one is complete inside the 40 to Sharp again. And now we get a timeout to stop the clock. 37 seconds left, and suddenly the Broncos are making things serious in the final seconds of the first half. Broncos and the Raiders each with a timeout. This drive began at the Denver 2-yard line. Brian Greasy still recovering from a hit to the left leg.
Shannon Sharp, after that last catch, went off the field.
And we get a whistle.
Please set the play clock at 25 seconds after we have a timeout.
Let's check out Shannon Sharp.
Nice space. Gets away from Bill Romanowski.
And
his right knee
on the sideline. quick pass to Smith inside the 30 to about the 27.
You know, Steve Berline coming in for Brian Greasy. It's made a lot easier the fact that he did start a couple games, so he has got right in rhythm and throwing the football very well.
Berline down the sideline for Smith. Got him inside the 5-yard line. Down to the 2, it'll be 1st and goal. Winding the clock.
What a terrific throw by Steve Berline. Rod Smith against Clarence Love, lays it out perfectly.
And Berline spikes the ball to stop the clock with 6 seconds to play.
Watch Rod Smith. Let's see if he holds on to the football. Well, that's tough. It looks like he had control. Oh, that was a terrific look that time. But did Steve Berline spike the football before the buzzer went off on Gerald Austin?
Let's see what Gerald Austin says. I can't say anything right now. Steve Berline, 104 passing yards on this drive alone.
Yeah, this is a big play, Greg. I mean, the Broncos get a chance to score a touchdown and get back in the game. They're trying to decide, did he get it spiked in time?
The receiver on the sideline caught the pass. At first, the official signaled timeout, but then wound it because it was inbounds. Then the offense lines up. They have 12 men on the field because the substitute had not cleared the field. 5 yards. 1st down.
Well, now, since that play essentially didn't happen, if that last play was nullified, it might still be under review. Or could possibly, but we've had no indication as yet.
There is not a 10-second runoff on the illegal substitution.
So we're going to go from the 7-yard line. And Bill Callahan, standing on the sideline, wants a timeout.
We have been buzzed. We've been buzzed from the replay booth.
So they will take a look at it in the replay booth and take another look at the play.
Rod Smith makes the catch before he can fall to the ground. It looks like the ball might be knocked out by Clarence Love.
Phil, consider this. Without that penalty, a 12th man on the field, they would have considered to have run a play off, and that review would no longer apply.
That's right, Greg. That's what I was trying to wait for Gerald Austin to give us the sign.
Quarterback had already spiked the ball. The play counts. Therefore, the review came too late to be reviewed. It's 1st down.
Now, did he say he was going to review the play? Okay, but you can't say a play didn't happen if you got penalized. So once they mark the penalty off, that means the play happened, and the Denver Broncos penalty marked off. So they get a chance to kick the field goal.
And Jason Elam will attempt a 25-yarder. And now the Oakland Raiders call a timeout.
Just to get organized. So
it'll be a 30-second timeout.
Gerald Austin's got more mic time today than you and I have. But it was a little confusing. The play happened. You can see once you saw the replay that the ball might have come loose from Rod Smith. The Broncos, it was complete. It was in bounds. They ran. They spiked the football. There was a penalty on the Broncos. They march it off. And the fact that they marched that penalty off tells you there was a play trying to be run, and that means you cannot review it. That would be my interpretation.
I think you're right.
And you understood everything I said?
Every single word.
Oh, that's good.
So Bill Callahan having it explained to him by Gerald Austin.
If Bill Callahan could have thought fast enough, which he couldn't have because nobody could even warn him fast enough from upstairs, he could have called a timeout, and that way during the timeout they might have got a review. But it all happened so fast for both teams that Steve Berline did an excellent job getting his team up there, getting them in position, spike the football, gives them a chance to kick the field goal.
And as a result, every reason to believe that the Broncos will come out of this with 3 points. And you would guess Mike Shanahan is questioning the penalty call, because that's about the only thing I can think Mike Shanahan could be upset about at this point.
Well, yeah, they said 12 men, and I saw the Denver Broncos just reading lips, and we did not have 12 men on the field, so.
And the argument continues. There were a couple of guys trying to get off the field in a hurry as Berline was calling signals to spike the ball.
Well, when you see the coach give it the wave, you know he doesn't like what he's hearing from Gerald Austin.
On the play. The catch at the sideline. At first, official gives a stop the clock signal, and then he gives a whine. That makes the clock alive. The ball is brought in and spotted and spiked. When it is spiked, Denver had 12 men on the field. That's only a 5-yard penalty. That's where we are at this.
All right, that's very well said. Yep. And he probably could have finished just to tell the fans that once that penalty's marked off, you cannot review the play.
25-yard field goal attempt here by Jason Elam. And with 2 seconds on the clock for the first half, the Denver Broncos finally get some points on the board. 3 to be exact. 21-3 Raiders.
I think it was a big 3 points. Still a tremendous deficit for the Broncos to try to overcome, but there's got to be a feeling of some confidence. You got to feel better. And the defense, Greg, I keep saying they've got the idea what they got to do somewhere in the second half. They have to force the Raiders into making a mistake and a turnover to get back in the game.
And a heck of a drive engineered by Steve Berline on in relief of Brian Greasy. This is Marcus Knight. Out of bounds. As the first half comes to a close. All Raiders until the final drive. And the Broncos put 3 on the... Stumbled along with Phil Simms. 21-3 Raiders are in the lead. My question to you is, what's more important now for the Broncos, their offense or their defense in the second half?
Well, I think it's more important for the defense. They've either got to stop the Raiders on some 3-and-outs, give their offense some good field position, or find a way to get some turnovers. And you just informed me it's been 3.5 games since the Broncos defense has created a turnover, and so they need some.
That has been a problem for the Broncos. They haven't been getting those big defensive plays that Mike Shanahan says he enjoys seeing. Look at the points off turnovers there and the total yardage. The Raiders have taken advantage in almost every aspect of the game.
Yeah, you know, usually points off turnovers, I couldn't even care about that because sometimes that's very misleading. But those turnovers gave the Raiders terrific field position, short field, they took advantage of it.
It does make a difference when a team only has to go half the length of the field instead of the full length. Raiders with the football to start the second half. Marcus Knight from just inside his own 10-yard line trips at the 20 and falls forward to the 24, and we check in with Armin.
Thanks, Greg. And talking to Mike Shanahan, first of all, the update on Brian Greasy. He's still in the locker room being evaluated. His status is still up in the air. Mike talked to me for a long time about that play at the end of the half. He said the official admitted to him that he had made a mistake with the clock and that Denver really should have had 9 more seconds and a chance to run some more plays. Not happy. The other thing is the Deion Sanders update from the Raiders' perspective. Bruce Allen, the senior assistant to Al Davis, saying, I know Deion would like to play as a Raider, but no contract has been offered. And he said, I don't think Deion's old enough to play for us, Greg.
That might be right.
Gannon to throw. Running out of time and throws, and that's incomplete.
Here we go, sir.
Under pressure from Kavika Pittman, number 95, as the Broncos look to pressure the Raider quarterback. He has today set a new NFL single-season record for completions. Tyrone Wheatley with 30 yards rushing on the day. And Charlie Garner is the Raiders' leading receiver with 45 yards. Garner, the lone back on 2nd and 10. Garner, 30, 40, midfield, and finally run out of bounds inside the Denver 40-yard line by Kenoy Kennedy. That philosophy of getting Charlie Garner the ball in open space where he can do things.
That's what it is, Greg. Again, it's the pass rushing front for the Denver Broncos. The Raiders with the perfect play call. Look at the offensive lineman getting down the field for the Oakland Raiders and allowing Charlie Garner to get about 20 extra yards. And, you know, so many times designing the plays is important for a football team, but when you call them might be the most important factor of all. And that time, Bill Callahan, perfect play for the situation.
The pitch for Tyrone Wheatley. Won't be able to turn the corner, and brought down at the 42 by Ian Gold. And going back to Charlie Garner for a second, 932 yards receiving this year for the Oakland running back.
That is really something, and you know, it's just terrific. Greg, we watched him go through in a walkthrough yesterday, and it was truly amazing the length they stayed out in the field just rehearsing plays, but how many different ways, you know, all not gadget plays, but the quick flips to Charlie Garner, to Jerry Rice, to Tim Brown, everything, and the complexity shows when you watch him play in a game.
Gannon sidearms it to Brown. 30, 25 to the 24-yard line, and that'll be an Oakland first down. 18-yard pickup.
And of course, what really makes this offense go, and we've talked about it, last week was the first time I've ever seen Rich Gannon this year play under pressure. That time, protection, good sidelines, plenty of time to make a good decision, and he finds Tim Brown wide open.
A good 3 or 4 yards between Gannon and his offensive lineman.
Something that Rich Gannon was not getting, Brian Griese was not getting early in the game for himself. Pressure in the face of a quarterback will make you make bad decisions.
The flip out to Garner, one-handed grab, but he's not going to be able to do anything with this thanks to John Mobley's defensive play.
Wow. You know, this is why I think this play is dangerous. And it's, even though it's a short toss for a quarterback, watch it. It's not perfect this time by Rich Gannon. What a catch by Charlie Garner, and he loses some yards. Nice play by Mobley.
And that particular pass was a lateral.
Yes, well, I shouldn't say a pass. That is a running play. But not in Charlie Garner's eyes. It's got to be handed to him by the quarterback before it counts.
Lost 5 on that play, 2nd and 15. Gannon over the middle, Jolly in and out of his hands, incomplete. Doug Jolly, the rookie tight end out of BYU, who used to be a quarterback.
Yeah, that's right. Went to Brigham Young University as a quarterback. Wide open is right. Rich Gannon a little off target with the throw, and well, you had a good little story about Doug Jolly last week being the leading receiver, right?
He said his friends called him last week and said, did you know you were the leading receiver against the Dolphins? And he said that was mind-boggling.
Yeah, considering I'm usually the 5th option on every single play. But a nice addition to this Raiders offense.
Gannon down at the 35-yard line, courtesy of Bertrand Berry.
Well, that was a good series by the Denver Broncos defense. Really just one play was executed against them, and that was the screen to Charlie Garner, who got a lot of yards, but sacking Rich Gannon brings the punter in instead of a field goal attempt.
3rd Denver sack of the day. Delta O'Neal will drift back to his own 10-yard line as Shane Leckler gets ready to kick it away. Lofts it up. Oh, what great placement. It goes into the end zone. Alvis Whitted working hard at the goal line, but doesn't get it down deep, and Steve Berline will come back out as the Denver quarterback. Brian Greasy went out in the first half with a leg injury, still on the sidelines as Steve Berline starts the Broncos from their own 20-yard line. Took them on a length of the field drive and a field goal at the end of the first half. Spreads the field, quick drop, pulls it down, and is going to run. 25, sliding down at about the 28-yard line. About an 8-yard pickup. And Denver's offensive leaders on the day. Greasy, before he left the field, 7 of 15 for 48 yards and those 2 interceptions. And Berline, 104 yards throwing on the day. Clinton Portis with just 24 yards rushing, and Shannon Sharp, 5 catches for 47. Portis lines up behind Berline now on 2nd and 2. And he gets the handoff and has a first down across the 30 to the 31 before Eric Barton makes the stop.
That would be one of the things that you would want the Denver offense to do, to keep mixing it up. Don't spread it out all the time and just put so much pressure on your offensive line and quarterback. So, like when it gets to be first down, like right now, maybe a play-action fake would give Steve Berline extra time, let the receivers get down the field, and a chance for a big passing play.
Rod Smith goes in motion to the other side of the field. The pitch. Portis comes this way, turns the corner, and out of bounds at about the 40-yard line. Be about a yard short of a first down.
Well, nice mix-up. Pass on first down. Give it to Clinton Portis inside now. He takes it outside. Efron Salam, nice block on Bill Romanowski. Allows Clinton Portis to show his speed and get outside.
How about we talked with Clinton Portis yesterday. He says he's got a couple of older brothers. He talks to them all the time. And he says, yeah, they both think they're coaches.
Yeah, that's right. Doesn't matter if you've ever played. When you have somebody who plays in the National Football League, you coach them week to week.
On 2nd and 1. Mike Anderson, his first carry of the day is for first down yardage and more across midfield and into Oakland territory.
I swear most of this you see right now is just the effects of what they did at the end of the first half, getting some confidence, getting rhythm, and allowing now the offensive play caller, Mike Shanahan and Gary Kubiak, to get a rhythm themselves, because a lot of times that's what it takes. Get a first down so everybody can get in rhythm, the coaches and the players.
And Steve Berline has been able to chalk up some yardage. Line of scrimmage, the Oakland 49. Berline caught by Smith. His forward progress will be marked at about the 45. That'll be about a 4-yard pickup or so.
Steve Berline, Greg, you know, he's at one time played for the Oakland Raiders. Well, it seems like a long time ago. I actually played in a game where he was the quarterback for the Raiders.
Well, Steve Berline has actually played for Oakland, Dallas, Phoenix, Arizona, Jacksonville, Carolina, and Denver. Berline throws, and that's complete to Shannon Sharp, and Sharp with a first down inside the 40 to about the 38. Bill Romanowski with the tackle.
Boy, and Steve Berline making good decisions. And one thing, you know, Steve Berline never got a lot of credit for being, you know, one of the top echelon quarterbacks in the league. But a lot of coaches and a lot of quarterbacks all know he's one of these really good throwers that nobody knows anything about. Just has good control of the football, tremendous touch, and a very accurate passer.
From the 37.
Got him off
Penalty markers down. Going to go deep down the far side. It is incomplete, intended for Lille. Terrence Shaw batted it down.
Penalty flag on the field.
Penalty is going to be against the Oakland Raiders.
I don't know if he meant...
Offside, 99 defense, 5 yards, repeat first down.
DeLawrence Grant jumped offside.
I don't know if he was going to go down the field with the play, but once he saw the Raider defense jump, that's when you can take a chance, and he almost made the perfect throw. You hear me say that all the time, don't you, Greg? About, especially when you're playing a team like the Raiders who can rush the passer. Quarterbacks do not make them guess enough. You change up your snap count, make them hesitate, help your offensive lineman out.
On 1st and 5, Portis running room up the middle inside the 20-yard line, and that'll be a first down for the Broncos. Rod Woodson made the stop after 13 yards.
Boy, that is just good blocking up front by the offensive line. Look at John Perrell at number 97, just getting pushed along the line of scrimmage. Clinton Portis, watch Bill Romanowski. Number 53, good block by Dan Neal, allows Clinton Portis to get extra yards.
First down of Denver. Burline throws out here to Smith. Smith to the 10 and out of bounds. That'll be just short of a first down. It'll be 2nd and 1.
That's a universal play now in the National Football League. You got a big wide receiver, throw it to him quick, then just dare the defensive back to come up and make the tackle. And Greg, we see it every week. Most of the time, the defensive backs cannot bring them down right away.
Since the first quarter, the Denver offense, as you mentioned, been able to establish a little more rhythm. Mike Anderson in the backfield. Gets the handoff, gets the first down, inside the 5 to the 3. It'll be 1st and goal, Denver. Romanowski with the tackle.
Well, they're doing the best thing when it comes to stopping a pass rush and helping your football team run the football. Again, Bill Romanowski in space, gets blocked just enough, but still gets in there and makes the tackle on Mike Anderson.
Boy, is this a different Denver team since about midway through the second quarter. 1st and goal. Anderson to the goal line and just short of the end zone.
No, it's a different team, Craig, and really what it took. It took Steve Berline hitting a couple passes just to get it moving. And since he got that last drive before the half, that must have been some confidence builder for the whole football team, and they've taken advantage of it with a terrific opening drive here in the second half.
Broncos have totaled 170 yards in their last 2 drives. Port, the fake to him. Berline running, touchdown!
Yes, Spike it. It took a while, but Steve Berline finally got there. Good play call by the Denver Broncos. Good play action fake. 2 receivers go down the field. Oakland is not fooled, and Steve Berline just keeps waiting and waiting and gets in the end zone almost untouched.
Jason Elam for the extra point. Anybody who had counted the Broncos out of this might have been a bit premature. 21-10 Raiders with 5:17 to play in the third.
A road near you.
Along with our producer Mark Wolf, our director Larry Cavallina, and our ace CBS Sports crew, Greg Gumbel, Phil Simms, Armin Katayan, 5:17 to play in the third. And the Broncos have climbed back into this thing, having scored the last 10 points and now trail the Raiders at 21-10.
Yeah, they either got to get turnovers or almost play a perfect second half, Greg, to come back from 21-3, and they're off to a really good start.
Marcus Knight is deep. And Knight will field this one at the 4. 20. Loose football. Broncos say they have it. just talking about how the Broncos had gone 3.5 straight games without a takeaway. Number 59, Donnie Spragan.
Well, turnovers so many times, Greg, happen because you just out-hit the other football team, and Donnie Spragan makes a big hit. Watch him rip the football out as the runner is going down.
Reuben Drones covered the ball at the 30-yard line. And there you see it, the Broncos' first takeaway in their last 4 games.
The Denver Broncos again.
It's still first down.
12 players were in the huddle.
Well, you know, it didn't make that man happy.
What do you think? Oh, boy.
You know, and you can hear Mike going, things were going so well. First and 15 from the 35.
It's easy for us to laugh because we're not on the sideline with either team, but every penalty in a big game, especially when you're eyeing their big penalties.
Burline down the sideline for Portis. Batted away, incomplete by Napoleon Harris, the rookie linebacker out of Northwestern.
He had him. He definitely had him. Clinton Portis had gotten by Napoleon Harris, and Steve Burline underthrows this by about 4 or 5 yards. You could tell he had the time, the space in front of him. He just put too much touch on the football. Boy, a nice job. Napoleon Harris at the last second turns and gets his arms out to keep Clinton Portis from catching it.
Portis this time flanks all the way to the top of your screen. Loose ball, whistles blow, penalty markers fly.
Penalty flag in the field.
Ball start, 78 offense, 5 yards, still second down.
That's right tackle Matt Lepsis. Well, you can tell Burline expected the snap a lot sooner than it arrived.
Well, 2 penalties and a missed touchdown opportunity. Can the Broncos overcome a tough situation?
2nd and 20 from the 40. On the slant, Smith dropped the ball. 3rd and 20.
Well, it looks like a good throw by Steve Burline. Rod Smith coming underneath, just a little bit behind, but still an easy catch for him. And now what the Denver Broncos, what you really want to do, you want to get some yards to give your team a chance to at least kick a long field goal.
This marked the first time in the last 4 games Denver has started a drive in the opposition territory. And they're looking at a 3rd and 20. Burline lost the football. Covered by the Broncos. Trace Armstrong knocked it loose. So the punting unit will come on. Let's take another look.
Well, they made Steve Burline reload, have to look somewhere else down the field, and Trace Armstrong, because of the extra time he's in the pocket, he knocks it out.
Burline went back and recovered. Not what you call taking advantage of the turnover. They backtracked 17 yards. Tim Brown, fair catch called for and made at the 16-yard line. 4:14 to play in the 3rd quarter. Oakland regains possession from the 16-yard line. The Raiders go back to work on offense. Garner, right side, 20. Oh, you saw that little zigzag movement that Charlie Garner has all of his opponents talking about.
You know, one thing the Raiders have done, they've seen the new defensive front by the Denver Broncos. Look at that. Langston Walker, 66, now is blocking Ian Gold, who's actually playing defensive lineman on the outside. And what a matchup in the favor of the Oakland Raiders. That's why they put him in there, and that's why they ran that play to the outside, and it lets Charlie Garner get to the edge of the line of scrimmage very easily.
Tyrone Wheatley this time looking for the first down and is close.
You know, Greg, so you look at it how teams change according to what the other team is doing. The Broncos trying to get more speed on the outside, put Trevor Price inside. Well, the Raiders, they change, put one of their biggest players in their team against a small linebacker. Good adjustment.
Clock coming up on 3 minutes to play here in the third quarter. 3rd and 1. Gannon gives to Zach Crockett, and Crockett's second effort appears to have a first down.
Well, this is the play we talked about, Greg. This is Zach Crockett. John Ritchie's going to lead it. Middleton, 73, comes around, but the Broncos are ready for that play. And they try to stack the inside, but Zach Crockett finds a way to get the 1 yard.
Langston Walker reports in once again as an eligible receiver. Gannon gives it to Wheatley. Wheatley looking for running room on the right side. He spins forward to the 29. Tyrone Poole with the stop.
And of course, every time Langston Walker comes in at tight end, I don't know what it is, but I'm just mesmerized to watch what he does. And one time they threw a screen, and I watched him run down the field, and I just went, oh my gosh.
Officially, Langston Walker is listed at 6'8", 345, a rookie out of California. And look at him behind head coach Bill Callahan.
And he can really run. He is athletic, and it's just another tremendous draft pick, I think, by the Raiders.
Gannon on the move. And dives forward to about the 33.
Well, you got to admit the Denver Broncos are making Rich Gannon move around and try to create plays more today than he did in their first game, and but they still can't make him make that bad decision.
Everyone wants to duplicate what the Miami Dolphins did against the Oakland Raiders last week, but personnel to do that.
You know what? I want to hit the golf ball like Tiger Woods. So you know what I'm saying? So big deal.
Yeah.
Unless I have his talent, it's hard to duplicate what other people do.
On 3rd and 4, Gannon throws, almost intercepted by Denard Walker. We talked to Mike Shanahan about the very low number of takeaways the Broncos have, and he said we've dropped a lot that were right there in our hands, and this is one of them.
Good recognition by Denard Walker. Game changer, changes your season if you make the catch. But as Mike, you said, Greg, Mike Shanahan says we dropped so many interceptions. He was hoping that would turn around.
Leckler's kick. Delva O'Neal watches it. Bounce, picks it up at the 25, to the 30, up the sideline, midfield. A blocker in front of him, and he is whacked down inside the 35-yard line. Shane Leckler made the stop. A 43-yard punt and a 43-yard return. Special teams have the Denver Broncos back in good field position.
How you feel? That's why we're here. Circuit City, we're with you.
Well, there's no question the Broncos have stepped things up here in the second half, and they have had their chances. Still, as we talked about during the break, that's all the coach can ask for is chances.
They've had it, the missed interception, the missed long pass, a good punt return here.
That pass incomplete at the 10-yard line, intended for Lilly, and Anthony Dorsett was there to apply the hit, and Lilly is down.
Steve Berline trying to anticipate the throw, gets it out in front of Ashley Lilly, just a little too much, and Anthony Dorsett with his speed and size, big hit. Lilly is down.
So they check out Lilly. 32 seconds to play here in the third quarter, and we'll take a time. We remind you tonight on 60 Minutes, have you any idea where a medicine you're taking came from? That it may even be a counterfeit? Curious? Try watching 60 Minutes tonight. Line of scrimmage, the 32-yard line. 2nd and 10. Lee walked off the field under his own power. Burline down the middle. Shannon Sharp inside the 5. It'll be 1st and goal. What a throw by Steve Burline.
Terrific throw by Steve Burline. But what's happened, Greg, before when they split Clinton Portis out and they almost hit the long pass down the sideline, the Raiders changed. They left their defensive backs outside. It left the middle open now because of that play. And Shannon Sharp, Steve Burline take advantage of it.
1st and goal from the 2. And before they get this play off, time expires here in the 3rd quarter. That is the end of the 3rd quarter with a score. The Raiders 21, the Broncos 10. We'll come back to Oakland after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. The start of the 4th quarter finds the Broncos knocking on the door. 1st and goal from the 2-yard line. Portis and Anderson in the backfield. Portis, right side, touchdown. And the Denver Broncos have jumped back into this game up to their necks.
I'd say so. Mike Shanahan, 21-16, is going to go for 2 points, but he makes the defense think they're going left with the motion by Mike Anderson. He fools them and goes right.
Bill Romanowski onto the field for the defense.
Here's why I don't like this. If the Raiders kick a field goal and they do not get this 2-point conversion, then you would have to score a touchdown and get the 2-point conversion afterwards. Quarterback draws wide open.
Burline throws incomplete. So 3 seconds into the 4th quarter. It's a 21-16 Oakland lead. Not anywhere around the National Football League. 32-yard drive in just 40 seconds. And here's the kick. Marcus Knight from the 9. 25, 30, 40. Penalty marker is down. The kicker, Micah Knorr, in on the tackle, and here's Gerald Austin.
Holding, 32 during the run back, 10 yards, 1st down.
So the penalty is on the Raiders, and we have an injury on the field, and while we check that out, we'll give you our NFL.com poll question of the day, which is, if Deion Sanders returns to the NFL to play for the Raiders, you think that'd make Oakland team to beat in the AFC? Log on and cast your vote at NFL.com. Well, it's prime time coming back.
Wow, look at that. The interceptions, the touchdowns, passes defense. He's won some Super Bowl rings, which he always tells Boomer and Dan about every week. But you know what's surprising, don't you? Look at all those tackles Deion made. See, now, Boomer, you can't get on him anymore. He is a tackling machine.
I will say this. He would have been such a much better player if he wasn't so shy.
Yeah, that's right. Tough decision for him, though. It really is. Been out of football a while. You know, it is a tremendous opportunity with a team that, you know, a lot of people think with or without him, they're already one of the favorites, of course.
It's a team that has taken tremendous injury hits in the secondary.
You know, you think about their secondary. Torrey James, Philip Buchanan, and Charles Woodson, who's only been on the field for a couple plays a day. You put those 3 back there, you can do just about anything else you want with the defense, because all of them have the ability to cover their guy, to shut him out, to make plays, to change the football game. So the Raiders have done a good job overcoming some big-time injuries this year.
Look at the impact that the loss of Kirby and Buchanan have made just on special teams. Kirby and Buchanan have each returned punts for touchdowns this year, and Kirby's returned a kickoff for a TD.
Yeah, that's always factors in the football game that we don't talk enough about, and that the general public just doesn't, you know, you just can't comprehend how big special teams are to the outcome to so many games.
So let's see if the Denver defense can step up and make a stop here. Line of scrimmage, the 24. Again, short drop, throws, complete to Tim Brown, who has had himself a big day. Denard Walker makes the stop across the 30 to about the 33.
Well, the Oakland Raiders, there's somebody down in the field, but the Oakland Raiders don't like the tempo of this game, so they spread it out, and they were going to go with a little no-huddle offense, but Tim Brown finds the space, wide open, makes the catch.
That's Denard Walker who got up limping. Tim Brown, meanwhile, 6 catches of 79 yards today. And Walker doesn't look quite ready to go, does he?
Yeah, he looked a little woozy, and I think they're going to make him come off the field now. The officials doing a good job. If you think a player is not ready for contact or for action, do not let him proceed on. Meanwhile, that terrific day of Tim Brown, not exactly balanced by Jerry Rice, who's made just 1 catch today in the Oakland scheme. What did I tell you during one of the commercials? We haven't had a chance to show everything so far today, but the biggest difference in this game and the last time these two teams met, the Broncos are being more aggressive, hitting them more at the line of scrimmage, and a few times Jerry Rice has had a hard time getting down the field because Tyrone Poole and Denard Walker have just been beating on him. And as was mentioned in the pregame show in the NFL today, Rich Gannon just had himself a whale of a day the first time these teams met. Yeah, well, we asked Rich Gannon about it, and he just kind of, well, you know, I was in rhythm. That was pretty good. You know, Coach really had a, and it just, basically what he was saying, everything just worked really well for him, and the results were a terrific day by him. 2nd and 1. Charlie Garner. Out there, pick another hole, 1st down, and more. Across the 40, out of bounds at the 42-yard line, and an Oakland 1st down. All can Charlie Garner dance through a line of scrimmage. The Tasmanian Devil, that's what they should call him. Watch him. He just keeps everything moving. Elbows, arms always pumping. The legs are going, and good stiff arm. Oh, nice stiff arm to the outside to try to get a few extra yards. 9 total yards today. Tyrone Wheatley this time for about 1. And the Raiders are not opening up the holes as Charlie Garner bounced outside, made it happen for himself, and Tyrone Wheatley's having a hard time getting going too. Denver up front is playing tough. 2nd and 9 as Gannon rearranges people along the line of scrimmage. Over the middle, Jerry Rice to midfield, and Al Wilson made the tackle. Let's watch Jerry Rice again. It's easy for these guys to throw and catch when nobody contests a wide receiver and you don't pressure the quarterback. 3rd and 2. Gannon, all kinds of time, and throws over the middle, and that's complete to Rice for a 1st down at the Denver 41. You know, watch Rich Gannon drop back. The Oakland offensive line, they don't even retreat. They just stand right there and take you on. Don't allow you to get them moving backwards so you can pressure the quarterback. And then Charlie Garner back to work. You know, as you watch that protection that Rich Gannon gets, I go back to what Trevor Price was saying about Lincoln Kennedy. We congratulated Trevor on his Pro Bowl selection, and we saw Lincoln, and we congratulated him, and we asked Trevor. He said, "I vote for him every year." It's automatic. He's the best one in the whole game. Nobody can pass block like Lincoln Kennedy said. Gannon, time. Rolling, and throws it away. And boy, did Lincoln Kennedy just have his man dead still. It's incredible. Lincoln Kennedy actually was pass blocking Monte Rager, and he doesn't even move. And he actually stops and looks around. Watch this. Right tackle, top of your screen. And he relaxes. Where's Rich? Where is he? And so Trevor Price was telling the truth. The bad thing about it is he does it and doesn't even exert energy or make it look hard. He says the game moves slow for Lincoln Kennedy. Gannon under pressure.
got rid of one tackler, but not another. Loose ball. Do the Broncos have it? They do.
Ian Gold comes to the inside and gets pressure on Rich Gannon. Rich Gannon does a terrific job getting away from it. Watch 52 go up the field. He's on the outside. No, it's Monte Rager that makes him move. And Ian Gold comes back inside, makes the hit, causes the fumble. Well, the Denver Broncos have had a lot of breaks, and they've made them for themselves, taking advantage of some. See what they can do with this one.
Line of scrimmage, the Broncos 39-yard line. Plenty of time remaining. The turnover story completely switched around here in the second half. Blitz. Quick pass to the far side, incomplete.
You know, Greg, to go back to that hit and sack on Rich Gannon, the Oakland Raiders just blew the assignment. Somebody did not pick up the defensive lineman. They got confused, and it caused a fumble.
Credit the Denver Broncos. Even down 21-0. They did not let up. They are right back in this game. Portis can't spin out of trouble. Rod Coleman was the first to hit him. We'll give him a yard on the play, and it'll be 3rd and 9.
Yeah, Rod Coleman, the inside of this defensive line, has played very well today. Rod Coleman, Sam Adams when he was in there, and John Perella have all had good solid days stopping the inside runs.
3rd and 9. Burline with time, throws, complete, oh, incomplete. What a hit on McCaffrey. Derek Gibson, number 36. And McCaffrey is still down.
Steve Burline watches Eddie McCaffrey come across the field, and as he keeps looking at him, the defense sees it. They react before he throws it, and that allows Derek Gibson to be there and make the big hit on Eddie McCaffrey.
Well, this has been a hard-hitting football game. This has been a very common sight here this afternoon. We'll take it.
It's more accord than ever.
As we welcome you back to Oakland, Ed McCaffrey was slow to get up off the field, but did walk off under his own power and is recovering on the sideline as Micah Noor has come on to punt for the Broncos. Broncos with 2 takeaways here in the second half, but have not been able to turn those into points. I said second half.
Let's say anything.
Wobbly, fair catch called for, and made by Tim Brown, who wants another penalty marker to fly. That was Lenny Walls flying by, and apparently have had a hand in. And now Lenny Walls may be wanting to be careful about a possible taunting penalty. And a marker is down.
And you got it, I think, too, Greg.
You know, Walls may have gotten away with it there, but then came back and did that.
After the play is over, taunting, 35 of the kicking team, 15 yards, first down.
Oh, how does that sit with a head coach?
Well, you know, my argument would be it was not around any other player. In other words, he was not verbally abusing any Raider player from what I could see. It looked like he was celebrating with some of his teammates.
Oh, Phil, I thought that the way he waved his arm was in direct confrontation to Tim Brown. But the line of scrimmage will be the 43-yard line of the Raiders. Shanahan not at all happy. Still plenty of time here in the fourth quarter. Charlie Garner looking for running room on the right side. Cuts inside. inside midfield. First down yardage and more inside the 40 of the Denver Broncos, and a first down. For those of you expecting to see 60 minutes, you're watching the NFL on CBS. The Denver Broncos and the Oakland Raiders. The Raiders leading at 21-16. Greg Gumbel with Phil Simms and Armin Katayan. 60 minutes will be seen immediately following this game, except in the Mountain and West Coast time zones.
Charlie Garner just waited and waited. The Oakland Raiders offensive line stayed with their blocks, and that's why he finally saw a hole to get a first down.
Wheatley, left side. Running room, 30, 25 to the 20, and another Oakland first down. 17 yards on this pickup.
Boy, that's just winning the battle at the point of attack. That time, Roland Williams, Barry Sims, Barrett Robbins all make good blocks up front, and the big guy finally got some room to run.
You look at our game summary, the Raiders with 282 total yards. And until this drive, the Denver Broncos had had the best of things since late in the second quarter. Garner to the 10, to the 5. Before he reached the end zone, he is ruled down inside the 1-yard line.
Again, that the formation by the Raiders caused the mismatches on the Denver defense. Charlie Garner gets the big hole and takes it down to the 1-yard line.
Phil, the last 3 running plays, 56 yards, 20, 17, and 19 yards, and the Raiders with a first and goal. Oakland churning up yardage on the ground for a change. Zach Crockett and Ritchie in the backfield. Crockett bounces off and gets back to the line of scrimmage. Al Wilson was the first man to hit him, and what a hit it was.
What a hit. Just watch Al Wilson, 56, make the hit on Zach Crockett. Zach Crockett, how smart. Protects the football and bounces outside. Still doesn't get to the end zone. I'd say the Raiders prepared well for the play we talked about, Greg.
Second and goal. Crockett didn't get there. 95, Kavika Pittman teamed with Lionel Dalton to clog it up.
You know, I said the Raiders. I meant the Denver defense. We talked about the favorite run and play that they love to do. When it gets down inside, Mo Collins pulling, just nowhere to go. Good job inside by the Denver defensive line. Keeps the Raiders out of the end zone.
Once again, number 66, Big Langston Walker checks in as an eligible receiver. Third and goal. Ritchie and Crockett in the backfield. Crockett, touchdown!
Well, John Ritchie never gets a chance to carry the football, number 40, but he is a really good lead blocker. But that time the work was done by Barrett Robbins, Frank Middleton, Mo Collins. They allow Crockett to get in the end zone.
Janikowski is good. 6:58 to play in the fourth. Third rushing touchdown of the day for the Raiders, who lead it. Wins today, it wins the AFC West. Denver would remain alive, however. They are the second wild card as things stand at the moment. Ruben thrown deep. Will take it at the 2. And barely gets back to the 20-yard line before he's brought down. John Ritchie with a hit. Gives us an opportunity to remind you tonight.
Kicking team, 15 yards, first down.
Well, that's a personal foul call on Travian Smith, and that'll move the ball forward a bunch, all the way up to the 36-yard line. Phil, you and I are talking about Zach Crockett during the break. He has 2 touchdowns today, 7 yards rushing, and he's got 7 rushing touchdowns this season and a total of 46 yards total on the year.
And that's defining a role. That's what the coaches have done for Zach Crockett.
Berline with time, throws, incomplete. Rod Smith and McCaffrey running off the field holding on to his left hand.
Yeah, he is. He got right up and ran right off the field. And I couldn't tell when he went down earlier, Greg, what it was he hurt, if he got the breath knocked out of him or his arm, and he's holding his left wrist this time. Yes, I said that wrong. Steve Berline had Rod Smith open just too high and too hard with the throw.
Berline completed 9 of his first 10. He's 1 out of 7 since. Far side of the field. Oh, that's caught at midfield. What a grab by Ashley Lilly.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
I'm not sure how he got it past the defender.
What a throw by Steve Berline. Ashley Lilly gets both feet down. What a job by him sticking his feet in the ground. Watch this. Boom, boom.
Oh, Clarence Love looked like he wasn't expecting it.
And yes, he held on to it.
Movement. And penalty markers fly. We welcome those of you who watched Cleveland knock off the Baltimore Ravens 14-13. Greg Gumbel, Phil Simms, Armin Katayan in Oakland, where the Raiders lead the Broncos 28-16, coming up on 6 minutes to play in regulation. The Raiders jumped out to a 21-0 lead. Denver registered a field goal just before halftime, came on strong in the third quarter, and closed to 21-16 before a Raider touchdown stretched it to the current score. Berline, far side of the field, incomplete and almost intercepted by Love. Pass intended for Scotty Montgomery.
Good job by Clarence Love that time, staying back, don't commit up, wait till you see the throw, then he breaks and knocks the pass down.
Those of you just joining us, Brian Greasy on the sideline was knocked out of the game in the second quarter by a leg injury and has not returned since. Mike Anderson in the backfield, 2nd and 15. McCaffrey back into the lineup, in motion to the near side. Berline on the move, throws over the middle, intercepted. Eric Barton. As soon as Berline let that one go, you could see there were an awful lot of Oakland Raiders in the middle of the field.
Greg, that's what it was. The Raiders in a defense where they can watch the quarterback. Nobody takes their eyes off the quarterback. Look at everybody looking into the backfield. So they go on Steve Berline's motion. And when he moved, they moved. Everybody there. Eric Barton makes an easy interception.
There are about 7 jerseys in the middle of the field, and Berline sees another chance, possibly go by the boards.
Well, Steve Berline knew it. He's willing to take the chance. You're down 2 touchdowns. He tries to force it in there, but Eric Barton, playing smart, makes the interception.
Barton's 2nd pick of the season. Wheatley in the backfield as we are now down to 5:39 to play in regulation. And the Raiders will look to run some time off the clock. Wheatley across the 50 and into Denver territory.
Well, as you look at this football game, the Denver Broncos, you fall behind 21-0. You make a terrific drive before the half ends. Then you create and get many opportunities in the second half. You don't take advantage of all of them. Usually you can't, but that's what you needed to do because you fell so far behind. So, and the Oakland Raiders, they hang in there. They make some good plays. They've won a different way today. It's not the dazzling passing game. They've run it, played some good timely defense.
Wheatley cut down at about the line of scrimmage, and this has been a really up and down season for these Oakland Raiders. They started out with a 4-game winning streak, then lost their next 4 games, got back on the winning track against the Denver Broncos, won 5 in a row, lost last week to Miami, and now today are presented with an opportunity to clinch the AFC West title.
You know what they're doing? They are definitely getting battle tested, and that's what's happening to a lot of these football teams in the league. And they're playing so many tension-packed football games. It is like the playoffs, so it just makes them better prepared and ready to go into the postseason if they can make it.
Gannon just barely gets the snap off in time, pulls it down, throws over the middle, complete to the 40-yard line. Charlie Garner has a first down.
Boy, Rich Gannon, it's not about scrambling. It's like a clinic when you watch him. You'd like to show film on him to young quarterbacks in the league. Just keep moving, find a little space. That's all you need, and sooner or later, talent down the field will come open.
Dejection beginning to set in on the Denver sideline. Charlie Garner, 91 receiving yards today. It's a season high for him. Wheatley back to the ground game, and the clock continues to move. 3.5 to play in the 4th quarter. Let's get an NFL Today update from New York and Jim Nance. Jim.
All right, thank you, Greg. We can eliminate a team. The Baltimore Ravens postseason hopes dashed here with a late touchdown pass from Couch to Mark Campbell, and then the Hail Mary attempt here at the end. Blake picked off, and the Browns win it in the final minute. They have some slim hope still. Let's go back to you.
All right, Jim, thank you. So add the Baltimore Ravens to the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Buffalo Bills, who were knocked out of postseason play today. Wheatley to the 35. And we get a timeout called on the field by the Denver Broncos. 2:46 to play in the 4th quarter.
Oh.
How's that for a picture?
I knew it had to be John Ritchie. When you see blood on the face from a Raider, it's always him. The helmet, the forehead, the lead blocker means a little blood. Bill Romanowski very happy. His ex-teammates, a big rivalry game anyway.
3rd and 5 on the draw. Wheatley to the 33. And timeout is called. Stop the clock at 2:40 to play.
You know, teams, coaches, and players, Greg, we talked to so many of them before this game. They all want to be part of it because the thrill, the emotion, just the electricity, whatever you want to say, it's everything you can imagine as you practice, go home at night, and prepare to play a game like this. And when you win, it's everything you think it's going to be. But you don't think about the other side, how bad it is when you lose. Because when you lose, as high as you are winning the football game, you go that low with a loss in a game this big.
Now, defeat today does not eliminate the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, I don't know what situation it puts them in, but it can't be great because I don't know how they're going to do in tiebreakers with so many other teams that could be involved. But I know they were under the assumption that they knew they probably had to win today to get in the playoffs.
I want to remind you all that 60 Minutes comes your way after the game, except on the West Coast. 4th and 2. Wheatley in the backfield. And movement on the front line. Mo Collins
Ball start, 79 offense, 5 yards.
And it bears repeating. The Broncos had their chances today.
Oh, they did. In the second half, they created their chances, didn't take advantage of enough of them to really, really pressure the Oakland Raiders team, their offense, and the play calling.
Brian Griese on the sideline came in last night and said all the talk has been that this would be the defining moment of my career to this point, and Brian Greasy said, and you know what, they're right.
Yeah, I have to admit, I was shocked he said it. I didn't think it was all going to come down to him, but he was under pressure early and just couldn't make it happen.
Leckler's punt. Oh, what a nice kick. Bouncing down and on it, rolled past one of the Raiders and into the end zone for the touchback. 2.5 minutes to play. Here's what's happened here today. Zach Crockett, the first of his rushing touchdowns in the first quarter, and then Rich Gannon scrambled for a 3-yard run. When Charlie Garner caught this 8-yard touchdown pass, they were up 3 touchdowns, and after a field goal, Burline's TD run made it 21-10. Clinton Portis made it 21-16. The 2-point conversion attempt failed, and then Crockett came back for the touchdown run to bring us up to where we are now at 28-16. 2.5 minutes to play. The Broncos down to 1 timeout, and they're at their own 20-yard line. Burline throws deep. Lallee made the catch inside the 35-yard line. Clock continues to move. 2:15 to play.
Steve Burline gets out of trouble, looks down the field. Rod Woodson misses it. Anthony Dorsett can knock it down. In a situation like this, you should never give up a long pass if you're a safety.
The pass is Shannon Sharp, and I believe we had the 2-minute warning before the snap of the ball. Let's see.
False start by the Denver Broncos, I think.
False start on the offense. They were not set. 5 yards, first down.
So we have the 2-minute warning here. 28-16 Oakland. .158 to play in the fourth quarter. 1st and 15. Burline going to go for the end zone. McCaffrey had it and dropped it.
Broken up by Clarence Long. Intended for Ed McCaffrey.
All Mike Shanahan can do is smile.
Oh,
it was that close.
It was, the play was there to be made. Nice pump fake by Steve Burline. Watch how close that was to a touchdown. Perfect throw. And Clarence Love, it's a good thing he finally gets there to knock it loose.
2nd and 15. Sideline, his receiver slipped. It'll be 3rd and 15. Ashley Lee went to the turf. Let's go back to something you and I were discussing during the timeout. We had a conversation when Oakland led 21-16 and Denver decided to go for 2 and it failed. If it had been 21-17 at that point, and it would be 28-17 now, your point is they could kick a field goal.
Yes, a field goal, touchdown, 2 points to tie the game. Now you need 2 touchdowns. So my point is, don't chase the score. Wait till you must go for 2 before you do it in this league.
Denver needs the 22-yard line for a first down. Burline throws for the end zone. Sharp dropped it.
Greg, I think you're right. I believe it gets through. Watch it. It went right through, and Shannon Sharp missed it.
And
Anthony Dorsett ran by it. It distracted Shannon Sharp just enough, and he let the ball get to his body before he can get his hands on it.
We get a timeout with 4th and 15 and 1:40 to play. Once again, Jim Nantz in New York. Jim.
All right, thank you, Greg. And a little reminder that the Chiefs will be taking on the Raiders next Saturday here on CBS. And the Chiefs today had a 99-yard hookup, Trent Green to Mark Bo-Richter. One of 2 touchdown catches for Bo-Richter today as the Chiefs keep their playoff hopes alive. Raiders-Chiefs next Saturday on CBS. We'll see you.
Jim, we guarantee you'll be talking more and more about Mark Bo-Richter and his abilities in the years to come in the National Football League.
Yeah, I think we saw that. We did 2 Kansas City games this year, and he caught our attention, especially when we saw him in practice one day. You just go, this guy knows how to make plays. He's got the talent. He's got that gift, whatever it is, that allows receivers and skilled players to just go above their skill level.
Denver out of timeouts. 4th and 15. Furline throws, and that's complete to Ashley Lilly, and he has a first down at the 20. 17-yard pickup.
Well, that was a nice play by the Denver Broncos. Well designed.
And Furline spikes the ball and stops the clock with 1:20 to play. Lilly, 106 yards receiving on the day. Mike Shanahan's Broncos, they can still make it into the postseason. A victory today would have made it a heck of a lot easier. Second and 10. Over the middle, incomplete. 3rd and 10. Lilly covered by Rod Woodson that time.
Just as well, the ball fell incomplete. No yards gained, and it saves the time for the Denver Broncos.
John Ritchie. And you know, here's the problem with all that blood all over his face. He likes it.
Well, that's why he's the lead blocker, Greg. You know, you got to like a little pain if you're going to play fullback in the National Football League.
3rd and 10. Gonna loft it for the corner of the end zone. It is incomplete. Rod Smith, the intended receiver. Clarence Love covering.
Yeah, and see, you get to a situation now, as we watch the play, Rod Smith, he might have a chance. Nope, just goes over his hands. But Greg, if, again, not to beat it to death, but if you had that extra point, you could kick a field goal, then prolong the game, and then try the onside kick.
Denver just 1 of 11 on 3rd down conversions today. 2 out of 3 on 4th down. 4th and 10. Furline goes down. Rod Coleman. What a jump Coleman got on the snap. Beat his man at the line of scrimmage, and Furline was just dead meat.
Well, when you're in so many obvious passing situations, sooner or later, if you get a team of pretty good pass rushers, somebody's going to make a play to stop the drive.
6 Oakland sacks of Denver quarterbacks today. And 66 seconds stand between the Oakland Raiders and the AFC West title. Their 3rd straight. We've talked about the Broncos and the way they came back. How about the way the Raiders withstood the challenge and answered it today?
Yeah, and how about Bill Callahan taking over for John Gruden, keeping his team together, doing it his way, really putting his stamp and his personality on the Oakland Raiders and winning the AFC West title in his first year as a head coach.
knee. And that'll do it for the Oakland Raiders and the Denver Broncos here today. Bill Callahan, head coach of the AFC West champion Oakland Raiders. The Broncos are still alive, but the Raiders are feeling mighty good about themselves. The AFC playoff picture, updated, looks like this. Oakland, Tennessee, Pittsburgh, and Miami in the catbird seat. Indianapolis and New England, the leading contenders now for those 2 wild card spots. But things can change. For Phil Simms and Armin Kasayan, Greg Gumbel saying so long from Network Associates Coliseum in Oakland. Our final score, the Raiders 28, the Broncos 16. Stay tuned for 60 minutes, except on the West Coast. Thanks for watching, everyone. You've been watching the NFL on CBS.